Hello everyone, today I'm going to be building and review the Zoom65 mechanical keyboard by Meletrix. So right now I'm just unboxing the package. Zoom65 Cube is a gasket mount, polycarbonate, hot swap, electrostatic coated aluminum case keyboard that comes with the Olivia GMK keycaps and JWK linear switches. So right away you get things like a bag, basic coiled USB, a lot of pour-on foam, screws, hex screws, an Allen key, etc. You can read the rest on their website. So here I am taking apart the switches so I can lube and film them. Regarding the Olivia keycaps. Yes, Olivia herself allowed Wook Studio to use her design, but the keycaps are not so great. The keycaps are double-shot PBT cherry profile, but the keycaps feel really thin, and the font is very inconsistent on the modifier keys. This is obviously not made by GMK, but made from some Chinese factory for mass production with lower quality and it tells. The JWK linear switches are already pretty smooth stock with no spring ping, but for some unknown reason I decided to loop and filmed all of them, which took about 4 hours of non-stop labor. The only complaint I have is that the switch pins are very frail and get spent very easily.
The reason why I bought this keyboard was because I wanted to have a gasket-mounted keyboard with polycarbonate plate. I suppose should have looked into the market a little bit more before buying this. I've heard things like the Keychron Q2 and the Bakaneko being compared to this keyboard, and everyone says those two keyboards are better than the Zoom65. Somehow I feel like I regret getting this keyboard already for some reason. It would be nice if they sell only the base kit without the keycaps and JWK switches. This cost me about 8,000 baht, which I have on down payment for 6 months. I know it costs more than if I were to buy from their website, but their shipping would have cost a lot anyways. So in short, I'm stuck with this keyboard for literally half a year. Personally, I think this keyboard is great. I'm not the biggest fan of 65% layout keyboard, but I have to get used to it. I mean, I can access the function rows by remapping with QMK. Did I mention that this keyboard does not have RGB? Well, that's fine with me because all my keycaps are double shot anyways, so there wouldn't be a lot of light coming through. In the future I will probably get some Acco keycaps to replace this cheap poor man's version of Olivia keycaps. It is nice that they have included everything you need in this package. I think people would want to buy the Zoom65 more so to learn and experiment. You don't have to scour the internet to find things like pour-on stickers and other accessories. There's also a golden small knob on the top right, but I barely use it. Overall, the keyboard looks amazing and it is an upgrade from all the plastic case keyboards out there. The aluminum case feels rough, but I kind of like it. It is also glittery, which I also like. Maybe one day I will take it apart and see what it sounds like without the foam. But for now I am lazy and will use it as Wook Studio intended. Another problem is that the tutorial is not very helpful. It would help a lot if it were more detailed. I had to watch a YouTube video on how to build the Zoom65 keyboard instead.
Building the Zoom65 was a confusing experience. It took me forever to install all the pour-on gaskets. One major problem I have with the case is that one of the hex screw was stripped and I was unable to unscrew the case. I was so upset and frustrated. I looked up a bunch of video online on how to deal with stripped loose hex screws, and the method that seemed to work is where you put super glue on the tip of the Allen key and some super glue inside the loose hex screw hole. Put the Allen key in the screw hole and let the super glue dry out. Then you will be able to turn it. Hitting it with a hammer could also help loosen the screw a bit. One major flaw on this keyboard is that it cannot survive without all the pour-on foam inside the case. The polycarbonate plate is really frail and it feels like if you do something wrong it will break. The foam sheet on top of the PCB has a thin layer of plastic and I couldn't peel it off because the pour-on sheet was already too thin. So now every time I I can sometimes hear that plastic why sound. This was my first time dealing with screw-in stabilizers. I installed the Holy Mod with the tiny felt sticker that came with the package, lubed the stabilizer housing and stabilizer wires, and then assembled everything together. It sounds alright for the most part.
This keyboard is absolutely not for beginners, but if you have been in the mechanical keyboard hobby for a while now and want to find a challenge, then this build is for you. You need to read the tutorial 100%, otherwise you will break the board. I feel like I've almost broken the board multiple times with how fragile and brittle everything is. When I first installed the JWK switches it didn't quite go in properly and I spent so much time disassembling and reassembling the entire board just to make sure I didn't do anything wrong. It was horrible. I bent so many pins because the JWK switches have very weak pins. So I ended up switching to the ACO CS silver switches instead.